Welcome back to UCL Review, everybody. Last night was a huge but devastating night in the Champions League. Patrick Van Straten and me are here to run through the biggest results. Pato, we're actually going to start with Ajax versus Juventus.
Yeah, this is the feel-good story of this season's Champions League. Ajax make the semi-finals of the European Cup for the 9th time in their history, the first time in 22 years, after beating Juventus 2-1 away from home. Their form away from home has been absolutely staggering. Okay,
Yes.
like they went away to Real Madrid, having lost the first leg at home, 1-4-1. Went away to Juve, having drawn the first leg at home, 1-2-1. Of course, they didn't even lose when they went away to Bayern Munich in the group stage. In fact, they've won 3 consecutive away UCL games in a row. That's their most since 1995. And they're the first team since 2005 from outside Europe's top 5 leagues to make the Champions League semi-finals. Absolutely incredible scenes. 6 goals in their last 2 away knockout matches against obviously Real Madrid and Juventus. And across all competitions this season, they've scored 155. That's their joint most in a single season ever. So you've got to imagine they're going to beat that record. By comparison, Man City have 150.
I mean, 155 goals with what? Probably 5-6 games minimum left to play?
Yeah, and they won, I think they won 6-2 at the weekend in the Eredivisie, which isn't even the first time they've won 6-2 in the Eredivisie this season. Actually, they've lost 6-2 in the Eredivisie as well. So they've been pure entertainment all season long. They've scored 31 goals just in Europe in 18-19, which is their best ever tally. And the more amazing thing is that unlike a lot of minnows who've reached this stage, they've done it while being comfortably better.
Yes.
According to expected goals, it was 2.2 to 0.8 in Ajax's favour last night and 3.3 to 1.4 across the 2 legs. So they have been the better side against Bayern, against Juve, against Real Madrid, and they thoroughly deserve to be in the Champions League semi-final, where they're going to knock out Spurs, they're going to go to the final, they're going to beat Barcelona, they're going to win the Champions League for the 5th time.
That would be incredible. Let's talk a little bit about the game now. I obviously didn't watch it because we were doing a live stream last night for Manchester United versus Barcelona, but I've caught up on the highlights this morning. But you know, the first goal is a deliberate mistake, I think. He pushes his own player, doesn't he? And that kind of causes a chain reaction, which allows Ronaldo a free header from 10 yards out. You absolutely can't give Ronaldo a free header from 10 yards out at this level of the competition. But my word, the size of Delict.
He's so big, I've never seen a bigger man.
You know, he's listed as 6'2" on Google. I'm not having it. I feel like they took 6'2" when he was like 17. He looks like he's grown about another 6 inches.
That's like the width of his shoulders. He's absolutely enormous. His head looks tiny.
Yeah, he fully made up for that mistake as well, obviously scoring the winner, and in the process, I believe, becoming the youngest Dutchman ever to score in a UCL knockout game.
Holding off 2 defenders to do it as well.
Just out of my way, bang. Have you seen the thickness of his thighs? It looks like he could crush watermelons between them. Absolute beast. The other goal, of course, came from Donny van den Beek, didn't it? 21 years old. He's got 8 in 7 away games now. Just a beast. You know,
midfielder.
He's another player as well. It's just like slipping under the radar because the league's taking headlines, De Jong's taking headlines, even like David Neres making the odd headline because of a proposed move. Not much made of Van den Beek, and he's only 21 years old, and he's scoring goals in UCL knockout games. It's incredible, absolutely incredible. What I do want to touch on is your opinion, Pato, on whether or not Ronaldo's signing now means that Juve's season has been a failure. Because they sign him for €100 million, and they sign him to win the Champions League.
It's hard to say it's a failure, because they're still going to win the league, and they did need to buy a striker, I think. But if they don't win the Champions League during his time there, then yeah, I think it's been a waste of that money. Like, especially as at the moment it means they're sidelining Dybala, who is the future of that side. Ronaldo is not. So I don't know. It does feel like a bit of a waste of 100 mil unless they go and win the Champions League next year. But frankly, City are going to beef up their midfield. Liverpool, you've got to imagine, will have more fitness from people like Keita, and Fabinho will be bedded in. And Barcelona and Bayern Munich are really strengthening. So I don't think they're going to win the Champions League, and I think they'll look back on this in a couple of years and say, you know what, we chucked 90 mil away on Higuain to try and win the Champions League, and then chucked an extra 100 away on Ronaldo.
And that's not even including his wages, which are probably astronomical at this stage. To be fair, this is the first time Ronaldo hasn't made a semi-final of the Champions League in a decade, which is a ridiculous stat. And he has not single-handedly dragged them to this stage, but, you know, he has scored 5 goals in the knockout stage this season, which is just ridiculous, home and away. So the rest of the team didn't really do enough throughout it. This is the first time as well that Juventus have ever lost 2 home games in a single European campaign. Obviously, they lost to Manchester United. You know, wow, Mata whipping it top bins.
What a performance.
We'll come on to them later. And obviously, last night. Equally, it's also the first time they've lost a Champions League knockout match, having scored the first goal since 2003. So they are setting records for the wrong reasons, Juventus. Whereas Ajax, setting them for all of the right reasons. What a performance from one of Europe's most exciting young teams. We can't wait to see them in the semi-finals.
Next up, no surprises, it's the other game from last night, and Joe found this one a little bit painful. Manchester United versus Barcelona at the Camp Nou. What happened, mate?
Well, Manchester United lost to the better team. I think it's fair to say. I've seen a lot of heavy criticism of the likes of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer about last night's performance. I think maybe it's a little bit harsh. Just a better team, Barcelona than Manchester United, all facets of the game really, and deserved 3-0 victors. This is Barcelona's first Champions League semi-final since 2014-15, so they've struggled in recent years. But this season, I think people forget they're still on for the treble. In the Copa del Rey final against Valencia, they've got a 9-point lead in La Liga, which means they can focus pretty much all of the rest of the season's efforts on their European campaign.
Yeah.
They are well in the hunt. You know, Valverde gets so much from Barcelona fans. He nearly went unbeaten last season, bar one game, I think it was in the end, and he could win a treble this season. And he's also bringing in De Jong and De Ligt. Bit awkward, isn't it? Anyway, let's talk about the game last night, because obviously Messi bagged a brace. The first one coming from he who shall not be named yet again, just dithering, fannying around on the ball, stood over a free kick 45 yards from goal. We obviously streamed the game last night. If you watch it, I said that he's going to give it away, Gave it away 4 times in the space of 3 seconds, a new record in world football for he who shall not be named. Absolutely appalling play on the ball and off the ball in that situation. But then Messi, you know, does what Messi does, slips it between Fred's legs and smacks it bottom corner from 22 yards.
It is an obscene goal.
Unsavable.
Goal.
He does that so well, doesn't he, into the side netting. The second, another individual error, I think it's fair to say, with De Gea.
I think it is fair to say.
Just a heartbreaker for me, that one, an absolute heartbreaker.
It actually reminded me of Messi's goal in the Champions League final back in 2011. You know, like he hits it and it's a bit weak from outside the box, but Van der Sar let it sort of squirm in.
We were saying this last night. The game actually reminded me and Mikey a lot of that Champions League final, where United just couldn't really get near them. David Villa slaps on top corner. It's just a lot better side, just being beaten by a better team.
Though both sides have declined substantially since then, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, since the days of Xavi and Iniesta running the whole midfield.
You had chances, though. You had chances.
Oh, we had big chances. Marcus Rashford has to hit the net. And people were tweeting me, you know, Romelu Lukaku would have scored that. You give him so much shit. Romelu Lukaku would have scored that. And I actually probably agree. He would have scored that. My question would be, does Romelu Lukaku make the run Rashford makes him behind the defender to get in that position? I'm not overly convinced he does. But equally, Rashford, oh my God, you've got to score that goal. You've got to score that goal. If that goal goes in, I think I might be naked on the stream, which nobody wants to see. Anyway, let's go back to David De Gea, because he has now made 3 errors leading to goals this season. The only goalkeepers to have made more are Asmir Begovic and Jordan Pickford. Hugo Lloris also in the contention, I think, for that sort of role.
I mean, it depends how you define errors, but Hugo Lloris, every season will have just an incredible blunder.
But yeah, De Gea, I don't really know what's happening. I don't know if it's the contract talks or something going on behind the scenes, but hasn't looked as confident as he has over the last few seasons, particularly with his distribution. But he still manages to pull off that save against Sergio Roberto,
which is unbelievable.
Face. I don't even know how he saves it. He's like not even facing the right way.
There were a couple of exceptional saves in this game, because Ter Stegen made that one towards the end.
Oh my God, Alexis
Sanchez. He's actually
Gordon Banks.
He's shifting his weight to go to the right because he thinks it's going to go over to the other player, right? And instead, Alexis gets his head on it and just big paw.
Yeah. But do you know what?
So good.
I think you've just got to take your hats off to Barcelona and to Lionel Messi. What was that quote that StatsBomb came out with, Pat, that we both agreed with?
They said that Barcelona used to be a great team who also had Messi, and now they're a great team because they have Messi.
Yeah, and it couldn't be more true, could it? I think that Barcelona in the semi-finals, they're likely to face Liverpool, right? They are going to really struggle. United exposed them on a couple of occasions. If that's Mane and Salah running at you, I think you're in real trouble.
Yeah, I agree.
But with Lionel Messi in your team, anything is possible. 45 goals in all competitions for Barcelona this season. That's 10 more than any other player in top 5 European leagues. He's got 10 in the Champions League alone. A goal contribution every 50 minutes. What is he doing? Have a day off. We were saying on the stream last night, he could keep going at this rate for 6 more years, I reckon.
I mean, probably not quite at this rate.
Seriously, I'm backing him.
But honestly, this might actually be the best season of his career. Like, I mean, in the sense that he's got a weaker side around him, and yet he's continuing to do the impossible. Like, he's the best goal scorer in the world. He's the best creative passer in the world. He's the best dribbler in the world. Like, I mean, it was his pass as well which led to the 3rd goal. He pings out an absolutely incredible ball to Jordi Alba, that connection that they have. Jordi Alba just lays it off, and Coutinho opens up his body, slaps it right into the top corner. I loved him just silencing his own fans as well. Just stood there, just walking around the Nou Camp going like that. The absolute shithousery, because he knows he's leaving in the summer. Oh my God. Anyway, I mean, that made it 4-0 on aggregate, and that's actually United's heaviest ever aggregate defeat in a European tie. Their previous heaviest, 2-5 against AC Milan in the 57-58 European Cup semi-final, and 4-1 versus Atletico Madrid in the 91-92 Cup Winners' Cup. So it's been a while since you've been pummeled in this manner. But to be honest, that just says to me that United shouldn't have got this far this season. Like, they've overperformed to get there, and when they got there, you know, it's like in a cartoon, you know, when a character like runs off a cliff and then he realises he's floating and falls. That's what it feels like for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
But do you know what it is as well? Is I've seen everybody hammering Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. You know, oh, the wheels have come off the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer car. But to a level, I think he was overperforming so much when he came in. You know, when he first started, he was on title-winning form. United were performing as the best side in the league in terms of points. Maybe not in terms of expected goals and underlying numbers, but I think the last month might well be, in the long run for Manchester United, a good thing.
What, because it tempers expectations?
Because I think if we'd have carried on that form going into the new season or end of the season, we'd have blown everybody away and finished top 4 and, you know, got to a semi-final or something like that. People would have gone, well, he doesn't even need to make that many signings. This squad can do it for him. I think because we've actually been exposed the number of times by better teams, you know, Arsenal and Barcelona being the main culprits, you now look at it and go, wow, United do need surgery. And if that hadn't have happened, we wouldn't have been asking the same questions we are of this squad right now. Because the squad is just not good enough. And I think everybody's hammering Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Other than potentially he who shall not be named out and Dalot in, I'm not sure I would have made many changes to that starting 11 last night. He can't put out that many different players. The squad just isn't there for him.
But there is a lot to be done. And like when you look at how teams who are still better off than United, like Bayern, like Barcelona, are strengthening, you do see that this needs to be a busy summer for United. And I mean, they're going to need to shell out, especially if they don't make top 4. But now that's something they're going to have to concentrate on while watching their biggest rivals, City and Liverpool, compete for the Champions League and compete for the title. Could be the worst season
ever, mate. We could have a situation where City either win a quadruple, Liverpool could win a double, and Leeds get promoted.
Oh my God, it's not great. But I do think there's some silver linings in this. I thought Marcus Rashford, the only player on the pitch last night to have more shots than him, Lionel Messi, and Jesse Lingard, match high 4 chances created.
The one thing about Rashford, pretty decent, is when he shoots a lot, his areas of shots not the best.
Sure, I can imagine. But at the same time, you know, last night all 3 goals came from outside the box, which is the first time that's happened since Chelsea did it, I think. And you know, Messi's the first player to score goals from outside the box in a Champions League game with left foot and right foot since Heung-min Son in 2014. Fun fact.
Wow.
Anyway, the better side go through. Man United head home, and we look forward to the semi-finals.
So that's it for this episode of UEFA Champions League review. We do have a live stream tonight, though, on Eurofootball Daily for the Tottenham versus Manchester City game. Pato, what are your predictions for that one?
I find this one really hard to call. I think City will go through narrowly.
I actually think Tottenham will go for it. I think City will win on the night, but I'm backing Tottenham to get that away goal. Either way, make sure you tune in to EFD at 7:45 to catch all of the reaction to that game. Thanks very much for watching. Get there eventually. Goodbye.